So guys, I know it's been a while since I've done a YouTube video before, but today we're gonna do something pretty simple. We're gonna be installing the 3.8 performance lower intake manifold ported and the top manifold ported. And then we're also gonna be installing the manifold riser also provided by 3.8 performance. Pretty simple install, should be about maybe, I want to say, hour and a half to 2 hours, maybe tops. 2 hours tops for doing this job. Pretty easy. I'm gonna walk you through it. My friend Dan, this is 3.8 Genesis Coupe, the BK1 version. BK1s are 2010 to 2012s, and BK2s are 2013s to 2016s. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out this portion of the intake. No, you're good. We're gonna take out this portion of the intake because, of course, this whole assembly has to come off. So we're gonna take this off right now. And then while Dan's doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and unplug these two sensors real quick. You gotta unplug this sensor. And then we're also going to unplug these guys. And we're unplugging these guys because this portion right here is gonna have to slide back a little bit to give wiggle room to for the top part of the intake manifold to come off. All right, so easy, pretty easy and simple. Sweet. We're gonna disconnect the top vacuum hose, has to come off. Anything that's connected to the intake manifold, you're gonna need to take it off for the most part. Like these two 10mm bolts right here. Gonna get those off real quick. It's 1 and 2. Cool. And what Dan is doing right now is he's taking off this part of the vacuum hose for the, I want to say it's for the evap solenoid. Yeah, evap solenoid. Next up, we went ahead and pulled off this sensor right here. It connects to the throttle body. You're gonna disconnect that, and then we're also gonna remove this 14mm also that holds on to it. Line right here for the what is it called? PVC line. Just a quick 10 mil, comes right off. Next up, we're going to be taking out the brake booster vacuum line and the back part of the intake manifold, which is this line right here. Super simple and easy. Doing is taking off the coolant lines to the throttle body, but Dan already has the throttle body coolant line bypass. And what you basically do is you loop this bottom line or this top line to the bottom line instead of having these connected to the throttle body. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to loop these. So what this does is the hot coolant that goes through the throttle body heats it up. So when you have cold air coming through, it's gonna pass through this hot area, which you don't want. So the lower IATs, which is intake air temperatures, you're gonna want to bypass the coolant so that way this can stay, all this air travel can stay as cool as possible when making it into the intake manifold. All right, so now we're gonna proceed, and we're gonna take off these two 10s right here, and then we're also gonna take off these 12s down here. And after we do that, the top portion of the intake manifold should slide right off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 12s, and you're gonna have 2 10s. So we got all the bolts out. So now we're gonna go ahead and proceed to just lifting it up, and it should come right up and straight out. Sweet.
And then you can see we have the this is the ported one with the heat shielding.
Yeah, this is the 3.8 performance. Dan already had the upper intake ported manifold from 3.8 performance, and they also provide you with the bottom part right here, which is a heat shield. What the heat shield does is you're gonna have hot air anticipate up from the engine, and it's gonna hit that intake manifold. So what you do to prevent that from warming up IAT, you put a heat shield. All right, so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna proceed to taking off the injector clips right here. These injector clips, there's 1, 2, 3, and you also got 4. Let's see. 4, 5, and 6. So white up first, and then pinch this black one, this black tab, and it comes right off. And you proceed to do that to all of them. So up on the white tab, and then pinch the black right out. So what we're gonna do right now, guys, is we're gonna go ahead and loosen this bolt right here, so this whole harness piece can come and have a little bit more flex with it, because we're about to pull this out and this lower portion of the intake manifold out. All right, so what we're doing now is we covered up the ports right here with some shop rags. You can cover it with whatever you want. That's just our safety insurance to make sure that the bolts that we're about to take off do not go inside here, because if they go inside here, you're gonna have a field day. You have a lot of fun getting those out. So what we're doing already is we're taking off these 10 mils right here to hold the fuel rail on. That guy, and then this guy. And then after that, we should be able to pull the whole fuel rail out, and then we're going to go ahead and tackle the bottom part. You notice that it's a little stuck when trying to pull on it. Just remember that these are held in by O-rings on the fuel injector, so it's a little stiff in there. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go a little bit back and forth, and it should come out slowly eventually. Moving these bolts right here. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, where's the other one at?
Right there.
And then you got these 2 front ones over here. So yeah, those 2, and then you're also gonna have these 2, I believe they're 12s or 10s. That's 1, and then that's 2 right there. Yeah, one more thing before we pull that out is we're gonna need to take off this. Let me see. Let me pull these out of the way. There's this coolant line that actually hooks up to the lower portion of the intake manifold. You're gonna need to remove this top line right here that leads down here, and then once you get the new one in, you're just gonna swap this line over onto it. Everything's pretty much out, ready to come out. These are the studs that we have to take out. This is actually going to be, in case anyone's wondering, the tool that you're going to need for it is going to be this I think it was a 6mm. Yeah, this 6mm hex. This is you saw that any auto parts store, like $5 for it. But yeah, that's all you need to take out the special tool wise. All right, let's go ahead and take this bad boy out. Let's see here. Get that out of the way.
Yes. So I'm trying to see if you have an engine cover for a 2010 Genesis Coupe.
All right. All right, and this is what we're left with. So you can see there's a lot of gunk in here. I'm not sure if you guys have ever read the forums or anything like that, but what to prevent this from happening, what we recommend is getting catch cans. So what's happening is you have blow by and the valve cover at the top end of the engine, and that blow by usually pushes out unburnt air in the whole crankcase system. So what it does is it's going to push out that air, but along with it, it's going to push out oil. So oil travels through that vacuum line and it ends up in here again. So to prevent oil from traveling in here again, you're going to want a catch can setup like this one over here. Now, prior to installing his ported upper intake manifold, which is this one over here, he installed a catch can, and as you can see, it's still pretty clean. His intake, the top part of it, the intake manifold's pretty clean still. Come on this one, and this one has oil on it, and this is the old one that he had. So again, what he did to prevent from oil getting in there is get a catch can. Now you can opt to get 1 catch can or 2 catch cans. Either way, it's going to help out tremendously. I would recommend at least 1, because you don't want gunk getting in the valves and decreasing performance. That's the last thing you're gonna want, you know. So just a heads up on the catch cans, what they do. Right, so we're gonna give you like an inside look at this real quick. This is the old lower intake manifold, not ported. You can see how dirty it is from the oil getting in there too. And this is the new one, and you can see definitely how much cleaner it is, how much more wider it is on the inside right here. You could just see in person how much better this looks in opposed to the stock one. Let me take this off. So this is a side-by-side shot. So now we're in the process of putting everything back together. What we're doing is putting this lower portion on, and then we're gonna put on the actual manifold riser. And just a heads up, I hope you guys know this, but make sure you try to like finger tighten them in a little bit before you start using a ratchet wrench, because if these aren't threaded in right, you're just gonna strip it, and that's the last thing you're gonna want. So always do hand tie first. Without the injectors, we're gonna replace all the O-rings on them, and by doing that, we have a pick tool. You can get it like Harbor Freight anywhere, like $3, $4. And we're just picking off, see these O-rings on these injectors right here? Well, they will be right here. These O-rings right here, they would be right here in place of the injectors. What you're gonna do is pull them off and replace them with new OEM ones. It's just an extra precaution that we're using. I mean, you usually when you pull out old stuff, you're gonna want to replace the, you know, any kind of gasket or seals on them. But that's what Dan's doing right now. We're gonna proceed to putting on the manifold riser, and before we install that, we kind of want to show you guys how to take off these studs right here, because you're gonna have to take off these studs in order to put in the manifold riser, because the 3.8 Performance, they provide hardware enable for the manifold riser to fit, and this is the hardware for it, so everything's a little bit longer. It's because the manifold riser is about like an inch, I'd say like about an inch bigger. So what you're gonna want to do to get those old studs out and then put these new ones in, you're gonna want to do this this 2-bolt method right here that me and Dan are doing. You're gonna want to put a nut on the bottom right here, like this, and a nut on top. And then you're gonna tighten them together, put this one all the way down, and then this top one's gonna be tightened on top of it. So now you're gonna go from the bottom right here with a 12 open end wrench, or you can use adjustables. And what you're gonna do is loosen it as if you're trying to take off the bottom bolt. And then when you do that, it should break it loose, the whole stud like that, and it come right off. We just got done putting the riser on. We put the gasket on the bottom, of course, so you're gonna need 2 gaskets for this. You need one on the bottom, and then you're gonna need one for the top portion. So make sure you have the bottom gasket on before you put the riser on. All right, so we got the manifold on now, the top portion, and we're using the provided hardware to secure it to the bottom portion. Remember, these are gonna be 13mm bolts now. And yeah, we're just gonna secure it all down and then put everything back together and start it up. I do want to note real quick that these 2 bolts right here, these are gonna be a size 4 in a hex, or you can use a 3/16. Just don't impact it because you might strip it with the 3/16. I think the correct size was a size 4 for those studs right there. All right, so got everything back on, engine turned on smooth, and everything's looking good. No leaks. Where the coolant lines were at, no vacuum leaks. Idle's perfect.